There's a quiet frustration I hear again and again from people who've done the mindset work, and still they feel stuck. They know what to do, they've tried to think differently, and yet something still isn't moving. Many people have done the mindset work, right? Personal development, affirmations, strategies. They know what to do, yet they feel unstuck or, at the very least, inconsistent in what they do. This isn't failure or effort of intelligence, because these people are very smart, right? Maybe you're experiencing that and you're very smart. It's actually a missing layer that most people aren't talking about at all. Mindset. What is that? Mindset is what we think, believe, or tell ourselves. Identity is who we believe we're allowed to be. Very different. Let me say this again. Mindset is what we think, believe, or tell ourselves. And identity is who we believe we're allowed to be. You can't think your way into a life your identity doesn't feel safe holding. This is where people hit invisible ceilings. And why does this show up so strongly in business? That's where we see it a lot. Because visibility feels unsafe. So like money plateaus. How does it show up, right? Your consistency drops off. Selling begins to feel really heavy, especially if you've had a remarkable amount of sales and your identity is not of a person that has a lot of sales. So that's when people self-sabotage because they don't feel that that's their identity, that that's who they are. And if they start growing a little bit more beyond what their identity feels accustomed to, who they think they are or think they are valued at, it can come down to they just don't think they deserve it. Maybe they didn't work as hard as they thought they were going to have to create the sales. But when sabotage really, really gets strong is right before a major growth. Now, none of this happens because they're lazy or broken, but because their system is protecting them. And hey, if you're new here, this is today's dreams, today's dream, tomorrow's reality, and my name is Vickie Poole. Now, how do I work with people with this type of issue? For one thing, let me go back a moment. Well, let's look at finances, right? So if you're a person that has been making $100,000 a year, I'm just picking a number out of the hat, and you've been doing it for the past few years, that feels, you can do that. It's no big deal, right? But if you have a really big major goal that says, I really want to be a millionaire, and all you've ever made, the most you've ever made is $100,000. There is no way that you're going to make that $1 million. And if you do, you won't keep it because your safety mechanism inside in your subconscious mind, your heart, the whole thing, who you feel you are and who you are allowed to be is not that millionaire, because you haven't done the work and the stretch to get to that place. And that is a lot of the things that I help people with. So I like to say you have a thermostat that, just like the heating and the air system in your home, if you've got a thermostat and it's set on 65 degrees and it's hot as heck outside, the temperature is going to be 65 degrees in your home. But if you open the windows and suddenly all this hot air rushes in, the thermostat's going to come on and it's going to start bringing the temperature back down to where you had it at 65, where you had it set, right? And then the same thing, if you got it set on 65 and it's cold outside and you open the window, the thermostat's going to come on and it's going to bring the temperature back up to 65. But see, we have an internal thermostat too. So if your thermostat, your financial thermostat says, I'm going to make $100,000 a year, and you go over that, things are going to start taking place. You're going to have some new bills that show up. Your car is going to break down. Somebody's going to steal it. You're going to end up making a bad investment. There are a plethora of ways that that money will go away. Thinking about lottery winners, that's the easiest one to show. Most lottery winners, if they were a person that was not wealthy to start with. Now, there are lottery runners that were rich to begin with, and they may have problems too because it's beyond their wealth that they had. But someone who has struggled with money that suddenly gets this windfall of winning the lottery, they've shown that 90% of the people who win the lottery have, within 1 to 3 years, and some even sooner, they're worse off than they were before. And it's because their financial thermostat in here would not allow them to keep the money. And so one of the things that's really, really important is to bring up the mindset part, right? And the way that I work with people is I listen between the lines. I listen and I ask questions that reveal the root cause of whatever's going on. So it could be a plethora of different things, right? Money is the only thing that is really easy. Well, it's not the only thing. It's the thing that's easy for me to demonstrate how that thermostat works within us. But we also have a thermostat when it comes to our relationships, when it comes to our profession, when it comes to our partners, when it comes to ourselves. We have a thermostat about everything, where we're willing to travel. Everything, right? So what I do, like I said, I ask questions that reveal the real root cause of whatever is going on with someone. So I help people feel safe, releasing the old identities and allowing to change their thermostat so that they can have exactly the life that they choose. We don't force change, we allow it. And when identity shifts, if you have an identity of being someone who makes $100,000 and we shift that identity to where it's $500,000 or $1 million, whatever that number is for you, then the behavior of that new identity flows naturally. So, if this resonates, nothing needs to change today. Awareness itself begins to shift things. So going back to the money identity that I just talked about, if you want to know what your financial thermostat is set at, look at your last 3 years of taxes. How much you made, without deductions and everything, how much you made, and then divide that up, and you'll get the average of what your financial thermostat is. It can be quite surprising because sometimes people make a really big amount one year and then hardly anything the next year because that thermostat is trying to equalize things. So becoming aware begins to shift things. So we can look at so many areas of your life. If you feel stuck, you've got a tricky thermostat in there somewhere. And just to be honest, growth doesn't have to feel like you're erasing who you are, right? And you're not behind. Maybe you're listening a little more deeply now, right? What's that thermostat set at? Because mindset matters, but who you're being matters more. If this resonated with you, let it settle. Like I said, nothing needs to change today. And I'll see you next time. Mwah.